Hi, I'm Randy McLean, President of WayPoint Analytics. I got Jeannie Hurlbert from Hurlbert Consulting. Jeannie's out in Scottsdale today to talk about what's going on in the industry and for us to shoot a series of videos that we can use to help share what we're discovering with you and other people like you. So welcome, Jeannie.
Thanks, Randy. It's great to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back. I've been quite interested in hearing the report from the field because you spend a lot of time in a number of our client accounts and others. Mm-hmm. And I know that you had a specific mission when you've been out over the last few months in a number of these projects, and I think you got half a dozen or more of these companies all going at once, and you're looking at various things in these companies. So I was quite curious to find out what you're seeing out there that is surprising or enlightening.
Well, the first thing is wholesale distribution clients are wonderful to work with. They are folks that care about their clients. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are family-owned businesses where there's a family dynamic woven within them. Right. And I find them fascinating because they're big, small companies in many ways. They have a culture that belies their size often, yeah. And that makes them very, very enjoyable to work with. And they are companies that truly want to serve their clients and serve them customers and serve them well. Yeah. There's no question.
I think combined with that, I think the caring from people that have an investment in the company or real interest in how the company goes, along with the level of professionalism we're seeing in a lot of these companies now in their second, third, fourth generation sometimes. University educated people making big contributions, people coming from the outside. And I see the company's level of professionalism, their capabilities growing pretty substantially as well.
Absolutely.
So your mission has been, for the last few months, what is it that you're working on? Are you helping the clients with?
Well, what we're doing is we're helping them with concierge customer service.
Yes.
And so what that means is to help them put in place a two-pronged strategy. So at the one end, for their most profitable customers, and obviously WayPoint's the tool that lets them identify who those are, then we want to deliver a particularly high level of service for a number of reasons. Obviously, they can afford to do that with their most profitable customers, and they want to make sure they serve them well, right, so that they can retain them, and so they can attract more people like them, and so that their salespeople have a business case for going out and basically cloning those clients by bringing in more people like them.
Well, there's something intrinsic or inherent in what you said. There was an inference that they're looking at their best top customers for this level of customer service. And one of the things that we know from the numbers is that although we want to give great customer service, or at least we want to beat expectations for everyone, you can't roll out the red carpet and give individualized service for everyone because nobody can afford that. The smaller customers don't need it, and they don't want to pay for it, and certainly they can't afford. They're not generating enough cash flow to make that possible. So that's an important differentiator that I'm sure you're seeing.
It's a huge differentiator, and that's why it's a two-pronged strategy. So on the one hand, for those most profitable customers, it is going to be the red carpet service. It's going to be dedicated concierge customer service representatives who make sure that they have a mindset of service and a servant's heart, who make sure they take ownership of the problem, who make their company referable, and who provide an incredible customer experience.
Right.
So those are like the four key elements that we see at that top tier. Yeah. But then we've got everybody else. Well, we're not going to just sell them down the road either. We want to make sure that there's a floor on the level of service for everyone, that they're all served well. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to find out what's the state of the art right now. So how do their customers feel they're being served? What do they think the sore points are? What's working well, what's not working quite so well. And what I'm seeing in a lot of these companies, they really don't have good hard data on that. Yeah. And they're relying mostly from their salespeople to tell them what's going on, and that's not always the best indicator. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing we've got to find out, is get the information. And we also, these companies do want to serve their folks well, but many of them don't feel like they really have a finger on the pulse of what people want and need. So we try to give them that information as well, because on the one hand, it's going to help them serve them more effectively, but it's also going to help them market more effectively.
Well, I think there would be a tremendous risk in knowing what your customer wants when you don't know what your customer wants.
That's right.
And so I would suspect that as the market's changing, customers changing, there's new generation coming in, We have a lot of influence from the millennial generation.
Absolutely.
And the things that were really, really important even 5 years ago are not top of mind.
That's right.
For customers today. So how do you stay on top of that if the market is changing, or in fact has changed since the last time you took the pulse of the customer base?
You ask them. You keep getting those data, and you want two kinds of data. You want data about what they want and need. What are their biggest problems? What keeps them awake at night? That's critical. If you know that, you know how to sell to them, you know how to market to them, you know how to serve them. And most of the people don't have the answers to those questions. So you really do need to be able to ask that question with regularity.
Well, I like the way you put that, what keeps them up at night, because that's also the key to the hot button.
It is.
That's the thing that basically is going to win the sale.
That's right.
Especially if you're trying to bring an account into the company you don't have, or you want to guarantee an important account's not going to leave.
Yeah, or you want to find another important account like the one that you already have.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you know what they're really worried about, you literally can rank order, okay, these are the top 10 things they care about. That's important. And it's also going to give you insight into what they expect from you. Because let's say, for example, I find out that my top customers are really worried about making sure they get their deliveries to their customers on time.
Right.
Well, if that's a top of mind priority for them, guess what they're going to expect of me?
Of course.
They're going to expect the same thing.
And of course, and if you don't deliver that they're going to think of that as a service failure.
Absolutely.
So it might have been what you've been doing all along. It might have been something that was completely acceptable 2 years ago, but now it wouldn't pass muster anymore.
That's right. So we're going to keep our finger on that pulse, and then we're also going to keep our finger directly on feedback. And again, that's not only going to tell us where we're doing well and where we're falling short for continuous process improvement, but it's also going to give us wonderful data for the marketing, because when we can go out and say 98% of our customers are satisfied, 95% would recommend us, that's marketing gold.
Well, what do you mean by feedback? How would somebody get feedback?
They typically are going to do it with a survey, and that's what we do. So in phase one, that's exactly what we're going to go to do. We're going to go find out what their concerns are, and we're going to find out what's making them happy and where the company's falling short. Because we can't even start to talk about how to tweak customer service until we know what the baseline is.
Well, so what happens after you've done that, and a year or two has gone by? How do you keep that fresh?
Well, you keep doing it. So let's say that we build a survey at the inception of a project, which we typically do. That's what we call phase one.
Right.
And then we're going to take those data and use those data to tweak the application of concierge customer service in phase two. And then phase three, we're going to help them capitalize on the investment they made in phase one, because we're going to keep using that survey probably every 9 months to 12 months at a minimum. So number one, you're making sure that you don't have to go hire a consultant once a year to start fresh, because you've got a system that works, you've got baseline measures, and you're tracking them over time. Yeah. And you set up autoresponders and invite people to take that survey on an ongoing basis. When a new customer comes in, survey them probably within 3 months, because within 12 weeks you want to know how they're doing and take the pulse.
Right.
And then every 9 to 12 months thereafter.
Okay, well that's interesting, and that's so that gives you an ongoing source of information about how the customer feels about things. And what I like about it from a numbers standpoint is it's what we consider a second order analytic. It's not just how they feel right now or how big something is right now, it's how it's changing across time.
That's right. You're building what we actually call longitudinal data.
Yeah. So
because you've got repeated measures from the same population.
Yeah, that's good. So you can start to see the trends of things. And,
that's right.
And that's a much better way to understand that something is going in the wrong direction before it passes some tipping point where the world starts to fall apart, and it's really difficult to fix.
That's right.
When it's gone too far in the wrong direction.
And it's also given them a lot of utility, because we're gathering testimonials. We even have a little thing that they can pop them right on their website automatically. And so a lot of these companies really don't, even big companies really don't have testimonials, nor do they have hard data. So they're finding it extremely useful to have this kind of marketing collateral as well.
Well, that was one of the most important things I learned from you in the early days when I first met you, was that I knew that I could go out and ask questions and see how people felt, and then tune my organization. It never really occurred to me the power of converting a lot of that into a marketing message in terms of those testimonials and other things to make it that much easier for people to decide to join you. And we've seen the results of that in our clients where you've been doing work, and we can see an inflection point in the sales when that feedback starts to go into place and starts to get back into the market. So, so I think that is really important. And then a second nuance, which I thought was very valuable, was, and I've said this many times since I first heard it from you, and that is, if you'll do well with your customers if you're doing a good job for them and they know it.
That's right.
And all too often across the course of my career, and what I see in a lot of our client companies, is they are working hard and they are doing a good job, but they have no mechanism to inform the customer of the good job that they're doing. And they really lose a huge opportunity to solidify that relationship and to keep the customer in the fold by doing that. All too often, some account will leave, and typically it's like, why'd you leave? We do so much for you. And the customer says, well, I never knew that, I had no idea. So it's, I like the idea that this is feeding back into the marketing and has actually helped drive sales in the first place. I think that's extraordinarily valuable.
And that's critical. And one of the things we do build when we put the concierge customer service in place is a mechanism for them to actually track interactions between those concierge customer service representatives and the concierge customer service customers, so that they can reflect back quarterly exactly what they've done for them.
Yeah, and that's a very important topic, which we'll save for the next video. Okay. Because I think that that's a topic unto itself which is extraordinarily helpful and beneficial. So I hope you'll check in with us on the follow-up video so that you'll be able to hear more about this. I want to thank you, Jeannie, for giving us some of your insights. And I want to thank you for spending some time with us. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in future videos.